Hello Dub Nation, it's always a thrill to connect with you, especially as we're about to reveal the latest news that could shape the fate of our beloved Golden State Warriors. But before we dive into this whirlwind of information, let me make a friendly request. Show us some love by clicking the like button to strengthen our bond, and hey, if you are not subscribed yet, join our channel for a thrilling and emotional journey. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay ahead of the game.
Genuine Warriors-Bulls trade rumor ignores major roster hole. The Golden State Warriors might finally have a serious suitor for Jonathan Kuminga, but a widely discussed trade scenario with the Chicago Bulls misses one crucial point. After the initial wave of free agency and early off-season trades, most of the NBA buzz has shifted toward restricted free agents. Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, and Cam Thomas all remain unsigned with their current teams, keeping the rumor mill alive. Following the addition of Jimmy Butler last season, Kuminga's role on the Warriors has become somewhat redundant. Now, reports suggest he could be on the move to Chicago in a potential deal for Josh Giddey. Warriors and Bulls linked in new trade rumors. Kuminga has made it clear he doesn't want to stay in Golden State. He's reportedly lost faith in the organization's commitment to his development. After a diminished role during last year's playoff run, it's obvious he's no longer seen as part of the Warriors' long-term plans. Publicly, the Warriors claim they want to mend fences, but their actions suggest otherwise. Behind the scenes, they've been eyeing Giddey for quite some time. According to insider Jake Fisher, Golden State's interest in Giddey is real. I've been told the Warriors continue to value Giddey's skill set and have communicated their interest to his camp. But there just doesn't seem to be a clear path to a deal. That clear path might not be obvious, but it certainly exists. Both teams could simply re-sign their restricted free agents and structure a trade from there, assuming salaries match up. On paper, a swap makes sense. Giddey is a gifted playmaker who could flourish alongside Steph Curry, and the Bulls could benefit from Kuminga's athletic scoring next to Kobe White and Matisse Buzelis. But here's the problem. It doesn't solve Golden State's biggest need. Warriors risk overlooking critical frontcourt gap. Between Stephen Curry, Brandon Podziemski, Jimmy Butler, and even free agent DeAnthony Melton, a rumored target, the Warriors aren't lacking in perimeter creators or secondary ball handlers. Giddey would be a valuable addition, but also a luxury. What the Warriors do lack is size. Right now, they don't have a true reliable center on the roster. Draymond Green has held it down in small ball lineups for years, but if Golden State wants to seriously contend again, they need someone who can rebound, defend the paint, and add interior presence. That's why trading for Nikola Vucevic, not Giddey, makes far more sense. Vucevic may not be a defensive anchor, but he's a skilled big who can stretch the floor, rebound at a high level, and complement Draymond in the frontcourt. He fits a need the Warriors have been struggling to fill, and is a more natural upgrade for their rotation than another playmaker. There have even been whispers linking Golden State to veteran big Al Horford, though his age and potential retirement complicate that path. In contrast, Vucevic is available, productive, and makes immediate impact sense. The bottom line. Josh Giddey is a talented player, and Golden State's interest is justified. But before they go adding luxury pieces, the Warriors need to address what's actually missing from their roster. A Giddey for Kuminga deal may seem balanced on the surface, but it doesn't move the needle in the right direction. If the Warriors want to maximize their window with Steph and make a real title push, the solution is clear. Prioritize size, rebounding, and frontcourt presence. And that starts with looking past Giddey and straight toward someone like Vucevic. Warriors must think long-term, not just big names. The appeal of Josh Giddey is understandable. He's a 21-year-old, 6 feet 8 inches guard with elite court vision and a high basketball IQ. In the right system, he could thrive as a connector, and Steve Kerr's ball movement offense certainly seems like a good fit. But this isn't just about fit. It's about balance. Golden State already has an aging core and limited time to make another championship push. With Steph Curry turning 37 next season, every move needs to be strategic, focused on winning now, not building for the next era. That's why the backlash among some Warriors fans regarding the Giddey rumor is warranted. Many see this potential deal as a lateral move at best, or worse, a distraction from more urgent needs. Social media has been flooded with comments from frustrated fans pointing out the team's rebounding struggles and lack of size during critical moments last season. The numbers back them up. The Warriors ranked in the bottom third of the league in rebounding and points allowed in the paint. The suggestion that the Warriors are prioritizing a player like Giddey, while true centers like Vucevic are potentially available, has left many scratching their heads. Bulls also facing pressure to reshape their roster. From Chicago's perspective, there's appeal in shaking things up as well. The Bulls are caught in a kind of basketball purgatory, not quite rebuilding, but not contending either. Adding a high-upside talent like Kuminga could signal a shift toward a younger, more dynamic roster centered around athleticism and potential. With Lonzo Ball still facing uncertainty and DeMar DeRozan gone, the Bulls need to find a new identity. Kuminga, while still raw, brings elite defensive tools and explosive scoring in transition, something Chicago has lacked. He could thrive in a system that gives him more freedom and responsibility, something he was clearly denied in Golden State. Still, Chicago parting ways with Vucevic or Giddey would be more than just a roster shuffle. It would be a philosophical pivot. It would show a willingness to embrace risk, bet on youth, and finally stop treading water in the middle of the Eastern Conference. What happens next? At this point, nothing is imminent, but the pieces are on the board. The Warriors' front office has always operated with discretion, and league sources suggest the team is actively exploring multiple options, including packages that involve other teams in a potential three-way deal to get a big man and still bring in Giddey. Meanwhile, the Bulls are said to be evaluating offers for several players as they weigh whether to enter a full rebuild or try to retool around younger pieces. One thing's clear, Jonathan Kuminga will likely not be a Warrior for much longer. His relationship with the team has deteriorated, and with limited minutes available behind Butler and others, both sides would benefit from a fresh start. If the Warriors want to make one last deep playoff run during the Curry era, they can't afford to get caught up in flashy names or positional redundancies. They need to get back to the fundamentals, and that starts with fixing their front court. Because in today's NBA, small ball alone doesn't win championships anymore. Nick's Yabusele reflects on Team France's Olympic loss, and Stephen Curry's game-changing performance. It's been a year since Stephen Curry put the French national team to sleep, literally and figuratively, with his now iconic Newt celebration, capping off a gold medal victory for Team USA at the 2024 Summer Olympics. While last summer delivered no shortage of basketball magic, few matchups stood out quite like the Olympic showdown between the United States and France. Team USA may have walked away with the gold, but they didn't coast to it, far from it. In fact, head coach Steve Kerr called their nail-biting game against Serbia one of the greatest basketball games of all time. But it was the electric performance Curry delivered against France, a 24-point masterclass, that truly stole the spotlight. Curry's brilliance silenced a raucous French crowd and left rising star Victor Wembanyama visibly heartbroken. But what do the French players themselves have to say about that game, 1 year later? It took a legendary Stephen Curry to beat us, says Yabusele. In a recent interview with RMC Sport, French national team forward Gershon Yabusele, now with the New York Knicks, opened up about that intense gold medal clash and what it meant to him and his teammates. And despite the loss, there's no bitterness, only pride. We were hungry after that final. We were right there. We put pressure on them. And we told ourselves, it took a great Stephen Curry to beat us. That's encouraging. We're getting closer every year. We gave it everything. The story is still beautiful. We're proud of that silver medal. For Yabusele, the game wasn't just another high-stakes matchup, it was a turning point. A pivotal moment that reignited his NBA journey. The dunk heard around the world, Yabusele's viral slam on LeBron James. Looking back, Yabusele can't help but smile when recalling his now viral dunk over none other than LeBron James during the final, a play that sent shockwaves across social media and made headlines around the globe. When I walk around Philly, people still say, "That's the guy who dunked on LeBron." It's funny. In that moment, it felt surreal, to do something like that in the Olympic final. More than just a highlight, Yabusele says the dunk gave his team an emotional lift and brought them closer together. It gave us a push. It gave us energy to keep going. We were united. Even in the middle of the game, he admits, he couldn't quite believe it himself. That single play became one of the defining moments of France's Olympic run, and marked the beginning of Yabusele's resurgence. From Olympic underdog to NBA redemption story. After an earlier underwhelming stint with the Boston Celtics, Yabusele's path back to the NBA wasn't guaranteed. But following his strong Olympic performance, and that unforgettable dunk, doors began to open again. He signed with the Philadelphia 76ers later that year and enjoyed a solid season, providing depth, hustle, and a veteran presence. Unfortunately, due to salary cap constraints, Philly chose not to re-sign him. But the story doesn't end there. The New York Knicks saw the value others overlooked, and gave Yabusele a fresh start. Now, as he joins a Knicks squad hungry for a championship run, Yabusele is embracing the chance to prove the doubters wrong, including the Sixers. A shot at NBA glory. What better way to complete a full-circle comeback than helping the Knicks win their first NBA championship in over 50 years? For Yabusele, it's more than redemption. It's about proving that perseverance, belief, and one golden moment on the world's biggest stage can change everything. And who knows? Maybe the next time he goes up against a superstar like Curry or LeBron, he won't just be remembered for one dunk, but for lifting a trophy of his own. From respect to rivalry, France's growing confidence on the world stage. While the United States continues to dominate Olympic basketball, the gap between them and the rest of the world is shrinking, and no team embodies that more than France. For years, the French squad has flirted with greatness, boasting a growing list of NBA-caliber talent: Rudy Gobert, Evan Fournier, Frank Ntilikina, and now the generational phenom Victor Wembanyama. Their silver medal in Paris wasn't seen as a consolation prize, it was a warning shot. Yabusele's comments reflect a quiet confidence that's been building inside the French locker room. We're right there. It's no longer David versus Goliath. Every year, we're closing the gap. And they're not wrong. Team USA needed a near-flawless performance from Stephen Curry to survive. One off night, one missed three, and history could have gone in a very different direction. That narrow margin of victory, paired with France's youth movement, has sparked optimism back home and reignited conversations about the global balance of power in basketball. French media outlets praised the team's resilience, and fans rallied behind the squad, especially after clips of Yabusele's dunk and Wembanyama's emotional post-game interview went viral. Wembanyama's heartbreak, and fire for redemption. No moment captured the emotional weight of the loss more than Wembanyama's reaction after the final buzzer. Tears streaming, head in his hands, the 20-year-old looked crushed. But that heartbreak may end up being his greatest motivation. In the year since, Wembanyama has taken his game to another level, reportedly spending the off-season training with NBA legends and working on his leadership as the future face of French basketball. Sources close to the French Federation say the loss to Team USA has become a rallying cry in the locker room, especially among younger players. They're no longer just happy to be on the Olympic stage. They want gold. And they believe they can take it. The Olympic effect on Yabusele's NBA comeback. Meanwhile, Yabusele's career renaissance continues to generate buzz across the league. Scouts and analysts have pointed out how much more mature and physically dominant he looked during the Olympic tournament. His versatility on both ends, being able to stretch the floor offensively and guard multiple positions, is exactly what modern NBA teams are looking for. Even former Celtics teammates have gone on record saying they're happy to see him back. Now with the Knicks, Yabusele joins a roster full of grit and defensive identity, a team on the rise in the Eastern Conference. And while he's not expected to be a star, he could prove to be one of the season's most impactful role players. Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau is reportedly thrilled to have him on board, calling him tough, disciplined, and battle-tested. Looking ahead, France versus Team USA, again? With the next FIBA World Cup and 2028 Olympics on the horizon, all signs point to another France-USA showdown, and the basketball world is already buzzing with anticipation. A rematch, this time on American soil, could be the most anticipated international basketball game in years. And make no mistake, Gershon Yabusele and Team France will be ready. They've tasted silver. Now they want gold. Kevin Durant offers blunt take on why Warriors fans still don't appreciate him. Kevin Durant has never been one to shy away from controversy, and his latest comment on X, formerly Twitter, is no exception. In response to a fan who asked why Golden State Warriors supporters never seem to fully embrace him, Durant fired back with a short but striking answer. Those finals MVPs they'll never get over. At 36, KD is still confronting the lingering narrative around his time in the Bay, a stretch where he helped lead one of the most dominant teams in NBA history, yet somehow remains underappreciated by a large portion of the Warriors fan base. But why? The move that shook the league and divided the fans. Let's rewind. In 2016, Kevin Durant made the decision of the offseason, leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder after 8 years to join the very team that had just defeated him in the Western Conference Finals, the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. It was a move that set the basketball world on fire. Critics called it weak. Fans called it betrayal. But for the Warriors, it was a masterstroke. And for Durant, it was the path to championships. He delivered, and then some. In his first season with Golden State, Durant averaged 25.1 points in the regular season, then elevated his game even further in the playoffs, helping the Dubs storm through the postseason with a 16-1 record. His Finals MVP performance against LeBron James and the Cavs included a scorching 35.2 points per game. Undeniable, unstoppable. He followed it up in 2018 with another Finals MVP. Another championship. Another moment where he proved he was not just along for the ride, he was driving it. And yet, the love was never fully there. Despite back-to-back titles and record-breaking dominance, there was always an undercurrent of tension. Warriors fans idolized Stephen Curry. They respected Klay Thompson. They admired Draymond Green's fire. But with Durant, it felt complicated. Was it because he came from the outside? Because he joined an already great team? Or, as Durant now suggests, because he outshined their beloved homegrown star on the biggest stage? His Finals MVPs, in a way, disrupted the Steph-centric narrative. And for some fans, that's a hard pill to swallow. He was the best player on the court, one NBA analyst said. But it wasn't his team, and that's where the disconnect lies. A legacy that deserves more than silence. Durant didn't just win in Golden State, he dominated. In 3 seasons, he averaged. Regular season, 25.1/26.4/26.0 ppg. Playoffs, 28.5/29.0/32.3 ppg. He was a nightmare matchup, a clutch performer, and the missing piece that made an already great team nearly unbeatable. And yet, when he left in 2019 after suffering an Achilles injury in the finals, there wasn't the outpouring of gratitude you'd expect. Instead, it felt like the end of a necessary partnership, not the celebration of a legend. Even now, KD continues to face skepticism and occasional scorn from Warriors fans. His short but brilliant run is often framed with an asterisk. But should it be? More than a rental, Durant was a dynasty builder. Let's not forget, the Warriors recruited him. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, the entire core wanted Durant there. They saw what he could bring. And when he arrived, he gave the franchise everything he had. He didn't half-step. He didn't coast. He led. The numbers don't lie. The rings don't lie. And the Finals MVP trophies, the very ones some fans resent, are symbols of just how essential Durant was to that Warriors dynasty. The bottom line. Kevin Durant's time in Golden State may never be universally loved by the fanbase. But maybe that says more about the complexity of sports loyalty than it does about Durant himself. Because if greatness is defined by impact, legacy, and delivering when it matters most, then Kevin Durant's name should be carved into Warriors history with pride, not hesitation. And if fans still can't let go of those Finals MVPs, well, maybe that's the clearest proof that he was as great as he says he was. Steve Kerr on Stephen Curry, he never dwells on what could have held him back, and I love that about him. When you think of Stephen Curry, you don't just think of the rings, the MVPs, or the records. You think of a player who changed the game of basketball. Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, recently opened up about what truly sets Curry apart, and it's not just his legendary shooting. It's his mindset. Steph never spends time thinking about what went wrong or what might have derailed his career, Kerr shared on the Glue Guys podcast. I absolutely love that about him. Curry has always put the team above everything. While his jaw-dropping range and quick release helped revolutionize how the game is played, essentially ushering in the three-point era, his real power lies in his unshakable commitment to winning, no matter what it takes. This is a guy who once went 0-for-9 from deep in an NBA Finals game, and didn't blink. Why? Because he knows that missing shots is just part of the journey. What matters most is doing whatever it takes to win. That fearless approach is something Steve Kerr deeply respects, especially because it's the opposite of how he felt during his own playing career. I was constantly overthinking every miss, every bad game. I'd lose sleep over it, Kerr admitted. It took me years to let go of that pressure. But Steph? He just plays. He lets it fly, always. He doesn't let fear creep in. And that's why he's so special. Curry's mental freedom has become a cornerstone of the Warriors' success. His confidence is contagious. But Kerr knows they can't rely on Steph alone, not anymore. As the team looks ahead to the next season, there's a pressing need for more reliable shooters around him. The Warriors haven't made major moves in free agency so far, and questions about the future of Jonathan Kuminga still linger. But regardless of how that plays out, one thing is clear: Golden State needs more floor spacing if they want to compete at a high level again. Without Curry on the floor, the team's offense struggles, and that's a problem in today's NBA, where spacing and shooting are everything. Still, if there's one constant the Warriors can count on, it's this: Stephen Curry will show up, shoot his shot, and give everything he has, without hesitation, and without fear. And that's the kind of greatness you simply can't teach. But while Curry's greatness is unquestioned, even legends need help. The Warriors' offseason has been surprisingly quiet, too quiet for a team looking to return to title contention. No splashy free agent signings, no blockbuster trades. Instead, Golden State has taken a wait-and-see approach, particularly surrounding the future of rising star Jonathan Kuminga. And that hesitation could cost them. Curry is still performing at an elite level, but the burden on his shoulders has become unsustainable. Without consistent shooting threats around him, opposing defenses are free to collapse and smother him, and when he sits, the floor spacing virtually disappears. You take Steph off the floor, and the whole offense tightens up, one NBA analyst noted. That's not just a Curry problem, that's a roster problem. Steve Kerr knows this better than anyone. Despite Curry's historic shooting, the rest of the roster has struggled to stretch the floor. Players like Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson, once key contributors, have faced inconsistencies in both production and health. With Thompson now gone and no major offensive reinforcements added, Curry is set to carry an even bigger load. That's a dangerous gamble for a team with championship aspirations. And while Curry continues to lead by example, showing up, staying positive, taking the big shots, even his patience has limits. Behind the scenes, sources say Curry has been increasingly vocal about the team's direction, urging the front office to make moves that align with a win-now mentality. He's not getting any younger, another league insider said. He wants to compete at the highest level, and he needs the right pieces around him to do that. Meanwhile, fans and analysts alike are growing restless. Social media has been flooded with calls for action, and the buzz around the Warriors' front office grows louder by the day. Will they make a move? Or will they risk wasting another year of Steph Curry's prime? One thing is certain: the clock is ticking. And while Stephen Curry may never dwell on missed shots or past failures, the Warriors can't afford to ignore what's in front of them. Because if they don't act soon, they risk squandering not just a season, but the twilight of a once-in-a-generation career.